Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and having a fantastic start to your day and getting up and feeling well out there and having a great week so far. Also, we're almost to the end of it, at least for most of us. Not everybody. Work week ends at the end of the actual Monday to Friday time frame. Some people work on the weekends, which I totally understand and get that. But regardless, hope you're doing well out there. We're going to talk a little weather this morning, as we always do. Try to figure out what's going to happen with a severe weather threat across the south central U.S., Texas, Oklahoma, southern Kansas. Could be under the gun today with some severe weather, large hail, potential for some damaging winds, and then you got that isolated tornado threat, which has not increased, which is good news, but it's a little bit of a tricky setup today, and I'm going to try to explain it again like I did last night the best way I can. Even the Storm Prediction Center has some pretty low confidence on exactly how the storm mode can unfold today. So we'll try to break it down the best way we can in a way that you guys as the audience can understand. The video last night did very well. It's kind of that time frame of the year where most of the videos get the same amount of views, but occasionally you'll get this one out of nowhere that just does very well. And so I appreciate that. That's just you guys hitting the like button, viewing the video, and just being engaged with the channel. So I certainly appreciate that. And welcome to any new subscribers to the channel. This channel is a lot different than most, and that's not a knock on anybody else's channel, but we keep it more like a family atmosphere here. We all engage with one another, pray for one another, and look out for one another here. So welcome to anybody that's new. And with that being said, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It helps get these videos out there. My nose is itching. I'm so sorry. I keep scratching it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, you know the deal. Please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. We all can look out for one another and glorify God doing it. And I do want to mention, I've not had a chance to answer the comments from last night's video. I will do that this morning, along with the comments from this video. So sorry if I have not interacted with you guys yet this morning from last night. But this is the water vapor loop. You can pretty much see this southwest flow pretty well coming out of New Mexico into Texas, Oklahoma, moving into Kansas. And you can see, this is technically water vapor, but pretty much where you see the white, you got clouds in place, whether they're high clouds, low clouds, or it's raining. You got a complex of storms over Oklahoma this morning with a line of storms kind of moving through the Oklahoma City, Norman area. This has lost its punch a little bit, but it still has maintained a little bit better than what the short range model said it was going to kind of maintain overnight. But southwest flow like this, and when you get this in response to this spin that you see right out here, this creates that southwest flow, and you get impulses of energy that kind of flies along this area right here. And in this case today, you'll have a surface low. This helps to bring up low-level moisture ingredients from the south as this, and this isn't exactly where this low is going to be, but as these lows kind of go over this southwest flow to the northeast, this helps to bring low-level moisture, dew points, builds the kinematics, which is basically that low-level jet we talk about on and on again, and things like that. So this is going to create a severe weather threat today across this portion of the country right into here. So we'll certainly watch for this, and that's what we're here to do, is try to break it down for you folks one last time and try to figure it out. But you still got this spin over here, low over here. This will continue to wrap around and enhance cold shower development. Some of these could produce some hail today, and I think as we get into tomorrow, into the weekend, you'll finally lose the nasty weather over the northeast. It has been awful weather over this entire area of the country over the last several days. So we look at watches and warnings. I do want to mention really quickly, for you folks out west, I plan on incorporating you guys in a forecast. I feel like the summer is a great time frame to start that. But in the morning forecast, I'm going to start trying to, maybe over the next couple of weeks, bring you guys into a morning forecast and just kind of brief over your area, talk about temperatures, things like that. And I feel like the summertime is a great time frame to kind of start that. So, and I got a lot of people that just view my content that live out west, and I don't even talk about your weather, and I really appreciate that. That's wild. People from Canada that view my weather that I don't even talk about Canada. So I really appreciate you folks, and I want to give back to you guys in a way where I should be talking about your weather more. It's just time restraints, guys. And I know I've explained that a million times. It's hard to fit everything into one video, and I don't want to just I like to spin detail. You know, I'm very detail oriented, guys, and I don't want to broaden what I talk about and then lose the detail. You get what I'm saying? So flood watches up here in the UP, and that is because you have snow melt from all the snow you got over the last several days. And that snow that fell was a heavy, wet snow, so I had a lot of water content in the snow, so you'll have the melting of that. Storm Prediction Center today, this has not changed really at all since last night's video. You got a slight risk, which stretches from southern and southwest areas of Texas all the way up to, southern regions of Kansas. You still got the tornado threat, the 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles on any given point in the Brown area right into here. So this is where they're expecting the highest tornado threat to be, still in southern Kansas and areas of western Oklahoma or central Oklahoma. The wind threat today, let me slow down because I'm losing my breath. I'm talking 105 miles per hour this morning. 15% risk of winds pushing 50 knots or higher. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour, mile per hour readings in the yellow area within 25 miles in any given location. Then you got the hail threat today, which I think is the biggest threat. You have a 15% risk in the yellow of hail 1 inch of diameter or larger. And in the black outline region that you see that has a bimodal kind of setup, 2 areas to watch, that is also a 10% risk of significant hail, which the Storm Prediction Center considers 2 inch in diameter or larger out here. That is when you start to get the cracking of the windshields and the damage, especially if it's wind driven, which means it can damage even sidings of houses, things like that. So please be aware of these storms today. I know you guys out here know all about large hail. But let's take a broad look at this. And I do want to mention the HRRR model is not verifying very well with this. In fact, we'll pull up the radar of what actually is happening out of the Oklahoma City area. You got an area of storms that's moving through the city right now. I don't have this in motion, but this is currently at 5:55 a.m. So obviously will not be current by the time some of you folks watch this. But still, I mean, there's a lot more precipitation and storm action ongoing in Oklahoma than what the HRRR model is saying around this time frame. So, you got to look at stuff like that. You certainly do. But you keep this in motion. What's left over of this might re-intensify in eastern Oklahoma later today, move into Arkansas, bring some rain into northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri. And then we'll watch the reinitiation of storms later today in this region. A more broad look, you got storms all over the place. They're very hard to figure out. You got storms down here in the hills of Texas, central Texas. You got an isolated storm, which you don't want to see this right here in southwest Oklahoma, kind of really close to kind of the Mangum area, southwest of Elk City, Altus. Down here, right here, in kind of the kind of tucked in region of southwest Oklahoma. So, that doesn't mean there's going to be a storm right there. It's just short range model guidance, but you keep this going and it's just everywhere, guys. It's very hard to figure out exactly where the most widespread area storms are going to be based off the reflectivity off the HRRR model. You got storms right over the the Dallas-Fort Worth area later into the evening around 8 or 9 p.m. tonight. But what stinks is, let's see if it's working. Let's see if we can get this in motion or if it, yep. See how it's skipping? It goes from hour 8, hour 11, hour 15, hour 17. Yeah. So, we can look at this and nah, we're not, because this is definitely all over the place. So let's look at Pivotal Weather. Pivotal Weather is a great, very cheap a month weather subscription to get, especially for severe weather, but it's reflectivity precipitation type I'm not a big fan of. It's not very vibrant. You compare to what I'm about to show you to what I just showed you, and you'll notice a pretty big difference. It's just more dull on Pivotal Weather. But you get into the morning, there's that morning convection we just talked about, and we just wanted to get a little bit of a zoomed in look at what could happen. And you keep this going. Here's the storm development right here, right along the Red River. Kind of you could have some storms around Wichita Falls, maybe sometime this afternoon over the Vernon just west. And then these storms keep going. And, you got to watch these little storms that are kind of discrete, right? Like I've been talking about, like I just talked about a couple minutes ago in southwest Oklahoma. Watch out for these big storms down here in southwest Texas. You guys could certainly get some big storms down here. There's not a lot of towns and communities down here, but please be aware, because the thing is down here, you'll have a lot of juice to the atmosphere, a lot of big time CAPE, convective fuel, which aids in large hail. So any storms that really get going down here in southern and southwest Texas, I think you'll have a big time large hail threat. So please be aware. But you got additional storms developing in here, and this is why I don't like it. It just shows green and yellow. It's not very vibrant. It doesn't really show it very well. But these storms up here in southern Kansas could certainly produce an isolated tornado risk. All of western Oklahoma, Woodward, you guys, Weatherford, Elk City, Sealing, Waynoka, Alva, those southern areas of Kansas, the Red Hills region, Ashland, Protection, Coldwater. You folks could certainly have a tornado threat. Pratt, I would say just southeast of Dodge City. You watch out for these storms right in here. And another way to look at it is, let's take a more broad look at this, is if you go, come on, work with me here. Kind of doing this on the fly, guys. This is why I like this better. See how it shows it much better. But you look at these storms. This storm down here looks very intense, and this is at around 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. You got big storms riding that Mexico-Texas border down here. You certainly got to watch out. And then, you even watch out for these storms here in southeast Texas later today, later tonight. These could produce large hail also. And you got a cluster of storms right over the Dallas-Fort Worth area right around dinner time, 6, 7, 8 p.m. But I really want to watch these storms right into here. They will probably have your best kinematics. Remember, we talk about the favorable wind profile aloft for severe weather in this region. So you keep going here, and even all the way until about 8 p.m., you have some storms in the southern Kansas and this western area of Oklahoma that I really want to watch. These could produce, and you look at the updraft Felicity swath, and it's not that bad, really isn't. You look at the 06Z and it goes out a little bit further. Nothing too bad showing up with here, but remember, just because the updraft Felicity swath shows a huge area over your region doesn't mean you necessarily are going to get a tornado. And just because it shows hardly nothing over this region doesn't mean that you're not going to get a tornado. But you certainly want to watch, and in fact, you look, one thing I want to watch here is look how the significant tornado parameter really increases. I'm sorry, this is getting into Friday. We need to back it up a little bit. Look how, you have little areas right into here that you got to watch out for where it increases to a 2, 3, or 4. And remember, anything over a 1 on the significant tornado parameter reading here means that there is ingredients for tornadic development. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it means there is ingredients. And this really kind of spikes as the low-level jet begins to rise into this region and the values begin to increase in Oklahoma. They're high down here too, deep down in Texas, but I think lack of just a low-level winds is going to prevent any kind of big-time tornado threat deep down in Texas. But you keep rolling here. The ingredients, which we kind of already talked about, not going to stay on this super long. I'm already running low on time. I had to start this video over about 8 minutes in when I first began because my dog just went absolutely crazy. But you're getting into this afternoon, this evening. Dew points rise into the 60s all the way into southern Kansas. So this is a thermodynamic that we talk about. We got the low-level moisture in place. So we know that this is an ingredient you can check off the ingredients box for severe weather. One thing we'll also look at is this low-level profile, low-level winds. The low-level jet really begins to increase late this afternoon into this evening. So any storms that are still ongoing, I think later this evening, we'll have a better kinematic background to play around with, which is not good because the tornado threat could potentially increase right at the end of the day, right as the sun is going down. So the environment is a little bit more kinematic supported in this region as we get later in the evening. But are there going to be any kind of storms still ongoing, or do they lose their punch with the daytime after you lose the daytime heating in this region? So you got 30 to 40 knot low-level jet rising into the evening hours. So does the storms latch on to this? Do they feed off this? And do we get any kind of tornadic development? Let's hope not. one thing we don't show much is the photographs. And I love, this is an awesome thing off Pivotal Weather. And it really shows it well. You know, we get into, I would say, this afternoon to this evening, and this is what you watch for. You know, you look right here in southwest Oklahoma, and this is around 22Z today, which is around sometime later this afternoon, the 5 to 7 p.m. time frame. You see how this photograph is looping right here. Click a sounding right into this region, and that is not the sounding I wanted to. Here, let's back it up a little bit. You click a sounding right, let's go right into here. Let's see, it was a sounding I wanted to note marginal support. I'm probably clicking right on a storm, but there is some isolated regions, and it's hard to tell where convection is right in here, but there is some isolated regions that do have tornadic soundings in this region that you certainly want to watch for, especially as you get later into the afternoon in this region. But of course, you know, not everybody is going to have a big risk. It just depends on the early morning convection, what's going to happen with that, how much does the atmosphere destabilize, and things like that. So I would watch right into this region today. You do have a little bit of a looping of the photographs, which symbolizes, I would say, a tornado threat to a degree. But there's a lot more other things that go into this sounding wise besides just turn around and looking at the hazard thing on the bottom right hand screen and then looking at the photograph. There's a lot of other things that kind of go into this also. But please watch out for a severe weather threat today in this region. You certainly could have a tornado threat that could arise, and I'm sitting here still trying to. I had the sounding pulled up earlier at a time frame today in southwest Oklahoma, but it's now gone. So no use in trying to find it. We don't want to find the worst case scenario anyways. We want to hope for the best case scenario, that's for sure. But you definitely want to have your guard ready, that's for sure. Southeast today, pretty quiet weather. The winds chill out today. Not a whole lot going on. Some shower activity could certainly whip into the Delmarva area, and we'll talk about that here on the next frame of the Northeast. But today, pretty quiet for the immediate Southeast. You'll still have those showers. It'll kind of drift into Arkansas later today, and we'll watch for some storms that will lose their punch as they move into eastern Texas, but especially as they move into Louisiana. You might be just dealing with some rain overnight tonight into the wee hours of the morning, and you could wake up to some showery, stormy conditions from Arkansas, showers more so in western Tennessee, northern Mississippi as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Northeast today starts off quiet, but then as we get into about midday, early afternoon, basically anywhere from the Delmarva all the way through the interior areas of the Northeast, New England, anybody could see shower activity, maybe even some small hail with these. Just kind of a similar day that you've seen the last few days. Ontario too, you're dealing with it. And you keep this rolling here. Some of these little showers could be quite intense down here in southern Pennsylvania. It's kind of the same areas where you been seeing snow that is now tapered off now. You guys could see some showers that could produce some hail up here and down here in western sections of Maryland and northeast sections of West Virginia. Watch out for some showers later this afternoon, this evening. Could produce a little bit of hail for you guys. That's for sure. With still some cold air aloft. The north central U.S., pretty quiet today. The only area I want to watch, which you do have a marginal risk of severe weather, is here in Nebraska and Iowa. You could have some storms that really get going. These could produce some hail, some damaging gusty winds. I would say just gusty winds. And central to eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, you guys could certainly see some nasty weather a little bit later this evening into the overnight hours. Could develop into a cluster of storms into the wee hours of the morning as we're getting into kind of eastern Iowa. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning. You could have ongoing rain, some storm activity in central Iowa, maybe even northern Missouri for tomorrow morning. Temperatures today, that snowpack up here will begin to melt rapidly. Also in West Virginia, rapid melt will be underway, and that's why you have your flood watches up. But very warm across the majority of the country where you're losing the Omega block, but you still have high pressure that's going to dominate the U.S., and therefore you're going to have that ridging of high pressure. So 80s all the way up into the Dakotas, southern Minnesota. Very warm day. It'll be warm and warmer parts of Minnesota than it will be in the Carolinas today. Pretty wild. But beautiful day. The only area that, excuse me, will not be beautiful is the Northeast. You guys will be miserable weather-wise, 40s, unless you like this kind of weather. I enjoy this kind of weather in the fall, not really in the spring. But, 40s and 50s for highs. Some areas won't get out to 30s. So pretty downright nasty weather-wise. But the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow, slight risk up for the heart of Texas, marginal risk up for areas of the deep south, mid-south. We'll talk about that more tonight. You do have another tornado risk right in the middle of Texas, but it's pretty low, 2% risk. We'll get more in detail on that tonight, but then we'll look at day 3, which as of now just has 2 marginal risk. But remember, this could change. And then I'm watching Sunday. Sunday, there's no 15% risk right now, but if you read the discussion down here, it does say severe threat. Some severe threat is likely to materialize in parts of the Midwest and middle areas of the Mississippi Valley. So you'll likely have some sort of risk into the weekend, especially Sunday. I would almost guarantee you. So watch out for that. All right, I got to get out of here. My cat's down here looking at me on my lap, just about to bite my finger unless I pet her. So you guys have a great day. God bless all y'all. Sorry for the kind of messiness at the beginning of the video. I felt like I spoke on a lot better in last night's video, but we'll keep it rolling either way. God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll be with you this evening.